what I want to chat about is this idea, this story, analogy of boiling a frog. A lot of you guys have probably heard of that before, and I'll give you a brief overview of what it is, right? You put a frog in room temperature water and you slowly increase the temperature, and that frog will sit in the water until it's too late to get out, and it'll eventually die because it's been boiled to death, right? So the idea is that the slow incremental changes, the frog doesn't realize what's going on, and it's no good for the frog, right? And it's usually told as a cautionary tale about avoiding, pain and misfortune and all these different things. I want to talk about it if we go the other way, right? So we could think about it as this. You have your standards, right? You have your standards, and we all do, right? Everybody's standards are set a little bit higher or lower, right? We all have standards. But over time, what happens to those standards will either drive us towards happiness or kind of drive us towards unhappiness. And I'll kind of use an example, right? Something that you'd be able to see, right? So my dress, my appearance, right? I have a collared shirt on with buttons on it. It looks neat, it's form-fitting. My standard for when I do these videos is I want to look professional, right? What if tomorrow I came in with my shirt and it was just unbuttoned one button? It's not a big deal, right? No, nothing, probably you're not going to notice, I'm not going to really notice. What about the next day I come in and it's unbuttoned, but I have a coffee stain on the shirt now? Okay, that's not a big deal. All right, the button's undone, coffee stain, and then the next day I don't have a belt on, right? You guys can't even tell, but I have a belt on, right? These pants have belt loops, right? It's part of my standard. And then the next day I'm like, my shirt's dirty, so I'm just going to go to the t-shirt, right? So what's happening is over time, my personal standard for my dress and my appearance is slowly degrading. It's slowly eroding, right? And lo and behold, let that happen over days, weeks, months, years, and decades, and you end in this area of unhappiness, right? So let's take physical health, right? Today I weigh 178 pounds, right? That's what I weigh. Healthy, it's a good weight for me, 178 pounds, I like it, right? What happens if I slowly let those standards slip? What happens if next week, the COVID's going on, I'm not in the gym as much, I'm 181. That's not a big deal. 181, no big deal, right? And then later in the month, it's the top of the month right now, April, later in the month, I'm 183, 184, right? It's this slow degradation, it's this slow erosion where we don't catch it fast enough, right? If I went from 178 today to 232 tomorrow, I would rip the e-brake fast and hard, but it's these slow, minute things, right? So to avoid that, we have to set our standard. We have to know what is acceptable to us. And then over time, if we want to move towards happiness, we have to try at a minimum to maintain those standards, if not increase them, right? So again, going back to the personal dress. If you guys have been watching these videos for a long time, I used to do them just in a t-shirt and shorts, right? Now I make it a point to have a collared shirt on when I do these, right? To increase my personal standard. So where else can we see that, right? How about relationships? I've been with my beautiful wife for coming up on 16 years. I need to, at a minimum, maintain my standard, if not find ways to try to improve it. Because if not, over the next 5, 10, 15 years, it's going to go downhill. That naturally happens if you don't pay attention to it. And that is a difficult thing. That is basically the crux of this whole video, is you have to pay attention to your standards in these key areas, right? What are you doing for your mental state, your mental health? What are your standards in your physical health, your relationships, your career, your etc., right? We all have them, right? You can't deny that you have them. But are you letting them slowly decline, or are you consciously thinking about these important things and trying to find ways to make them increase a little bit at a time? And this is one thing I'll caution you on, right? If you catch yourself in a slow decline, don't try to set your new standard or your new goal way over here, right? You have to come to the very beginning point and slowly, incrementally build off of it for it to stick and for it to last, right? So the idea, guys, don't let this slow trickle, this slow erosion eat away at your happiness because you failed to look in the mirror and see what your standards were for these areas, and like I say, at a minimum, maintain them. If not, try to increase them. Guys, have an amazing day. I hope that worked, or I hope you liked the video. If you did, please comment, please share it. Have an awesome day, guys.